Union Tribune. Quote, "I'm blown away. At all costs, I wanted to avoid going down this road. They made it overly clear we had no other option. It's absolutely asinine. He would have gotten more cash in this calendar year than anyone except Carson Wentz." Stephen A., whose side are you on?
Believe it or not, I'm on the Chargers side in this matter. Here is why. I'm all for the players and Joey Bosa in this particular equation because, to me, the Chargers should have done their homework, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm not going to belabor that point. At the end of the day, Joey Bosa wanted one of two things. He wanted the language eliminated or he wanted that money. When I read what the Chargers statement says, assuming it's accurate, I reserve the right, Max, to change my mind if we find out they're lying. But based on what they said in their statement, if indeed it's true that A, an initial signing bonus payment that is larger than any rookie has received in the past 2 NFL drafts. They didn't say any rookie they drafted. They said any rookie. If that is true, if it is true that they offered Bosa more money in 2016 than every rookie in this year's class except Philadelphia Eagles' #2 overall pick, Carson Wentz. If it is true that their offer to Bosa is the largest payment and the highest percentage of a signing bonus received in the first calendar year of any Chargers pick since the adoption of the CBA in 2011, which, by the way, is not that big of a deal because they didn't even have a top 10 pick. The point that I'm making is we're talking about Bosa nickel and diming here because they're throwing a boatload of money at him. If you're giving him more money than anybody but Carson Wentz, okay? If you're sitting up there and you've offered him more money in 2016 than every rookie sent other than Carson Wentz and the initial signing bonus payment that is larger than any rookie has received in the last 2 NFL drafts, we're talking about something in excess of $15 million. Now, if Joey Bosa wanted every dime, like he said, for the first year, and that was going to amount to $17 million, we're talking, calculating that maybe $1 million, possibly as much as $2 million, is what it's costing him here. That is not a reason for the #3 overall pick in the NFL draft, who wants to play football, who's known for his motor and being an energizer buddy and loving the game of football and wanting to play it, possibly missing an entire rookie campaign because of this. In the event that he does not sign with the Chargers, they're not going to trade him. They can't trade him. As a result, he has to miss the entire season, okay, because the Chargers retain his rights until the next NFL draft, at which time he could be drafted by somebody else. So you're talking about yourself missing your entire rookie campaign. If you miss your entire rookie campaign, then to me, even though it has happened on at least 3 or 4 occasions before in NFL history, I'm questioning your desire to really play, and I'm questioning your desire to play for this franchise that drafted you. That's the issue here to me. I have to side with the Chargers on this particular incident, assuming that they are telling the truth about what they claim they offered.
They could be telling the truth about every single thing. I side unequivocally and 100% with Joey Bosa. I don't think the Chargers have a leg to stand on. I think they are a laughingstock of an organization right now. I think Spanos is, when you look at what happened in L.A. with Kroenke, they couldn't get the deal they wanted because they were in an inferior negotiating position. So they took their ball and they stayed home in San Diego, which is not good for them. I think here they're doing the same thing. The nerve of the Chargers to claim that this is not the way the Chargers do business, this is not the way we've ever done it. Talking about offset language or bonus, one or the other, payable before the, by the end of the first season. Hey, Chargers, who cares the way you do business? This is the way the NFL does business right now. Every single guy in the last 5 years, except for Bosa now, selected as the #3 overall pick, gets one or the other, the offset language, or they get the bonus payable by the end of the year. So they're trying to make it an exception. Now, they haven't drafted in the top 5 since then. So either what's going on is the Chargers are getting pressure from other NFL teams. Hey, you got to toe the line here. This is a battleground with the union. We need to win this fight. And I have no knowledge of that. I'm just assuming, but let's not assume anything and just say the Chargers are acting alone here. That means that they're insisting on the way they do business in the past before this new system, taking precedent over the way business has been done by the rest of the league since then. And what they're doing is sending a signal as Bosa's mother pointed out on Twitter when this started going down, that that if you're drafted by the Chargers in the top 5, you should pull an Eli Manning and not go there. And this is a team that's likely to be the worst in their division this year. They're not at poor Phillip Rivers, a great quarterback who's not being put in a position to succeed by an organization that is doing the wrong thing here. And in terms of Spanos, analyzing the contract offer and then saying Bosa's a fool to turn it down. Come on, guys. You made an offer. They countered with a counter that's precedent has been set already. You sat on it, did not change your negotiating position, and now come back and said, well, he should have taken it. We think it's in his best interest. That's what a negotiation is. Each side looking for their own best interest. And I will take the word of Joey Bosa and his representatives that the deal was not in his best interest, or maybe not in the union's best interest, versus the Chargers saying it was on the other side's best interest to do what we felt they should do. In terms of the practicality of it all, the fact that Bosa's turning down money for a year in which he's unlikely to get injured. He'll re-enter the draft, go to a better franchise, make a ton of money anyway. But the idea that he shouldn't stand on principle, but the Chargers here are admitting they're standing on principle, to me, doesn't pass muster. Why isn't it okay for a player ever to stand on principle just because it's not pragmatic?
Wait a minute.
Stephen A., why every time a guy has to sacrifice something, does that make it a bad idea for him?
Well, if you give me a chance, instead of asking the same questions 4 different times, I'll answer it for you. The fact of the matter is that nobody is saying that it was wrong for Bosa to stand on principle. We applaud him standing on principle. A matter of fact, let's point out that he comes from, I don't want to say affluent because I don't know his business, but he certainly doesn't come from the poorest background, okay? So because of that, he's in a position that most of these athletes wouldn't be in. So I applaud him for exploiting it to the best of his ability. There's no shame in that. My point is, based on what I read about what Joey Bosa wanted, this doesn't appear to be far off. We know what the Chargers are as an organization. We get that because history is not on their side. But we've also heard players in a Chargers uniform speak out about Bosa, speak out against him. Not that they were right to do so, because you don't get to manage that man's money and his finances. You step away from all of that. But it does resonate with me that they said it nonetheless, because what they're pointing to is the issue of fairness per se. And if you are the Chargers and you're looking around and you're able to say, we've offered him more money than everyone in this draft, with the exception of Carson Wentz. That resonates to me because Carson Wentz was picked before him. So he shouldn't be getting paid more than Carson Wentz. Just like Carson Wentz shouldn't be getting paid more than Jared Goff, as far as I'm concerned, because the number 1 pick should get more than the number 2 pick. The number 2 pick should get more than the number 3 pick, and so on and so forth. Nobody's knocking Bosa for standing on principle. We get it. But if it's close, Max, it's a negotiation. If it's close to what you wanted, then it comes down to a situation where one must ask the question, how badly do you want to play? I have no problem with him sitting there saying, I'm going on a football field, 1 play could end my career, blah, blah, blah. I get all of that if you're oceans apart. But if you're not, and you're relatively close, and both sides are just playing hardball, to me, when you are a player, it does come down to a point where you must ask, it must be asked, how badly do you want to play?
I think the question is, how bad do the Chargers want to win? They drafted where they did because they lost a lot.
We know the answer to that question.
Well, I mean,
we know the answer to that question.
Well, obviously, not very much.
It never seems like it's much.
It's
never seemed like it's much.
They are more interested in the Chargers are more interested in standing on principle, whether it's to win a battle with the players' union. This is NFL pressure, or it's their own franchise wanting to toe some imaginary line based on who knows what, their own set of guidelines for how they negotiate contracts. It's contrary to the way the rest of the NFL does it. Either way, they're not serious about winning.
I have a question. Yeah. So, Max, at the end of the day, is your problem with these negotiations the particulars and the specificities of it all? Or is it the fact that it involves the Chargers? In other words, if these were the Giants and the same offer was on the table, would you have a problem with the Giants?
Well, yes, I would. And I would want them to sign their draft pick. But you do get more equity when you've won Super Bowls recently than teams that haven't. But beyond that, besides that, I mean, I'm a Giants fan. It's hard. I'm biased. I root for the organization.
I'm saying
yes,
it's close. If it's close.
I would be angry at the Yes, I would be angry at the Giants.
Why?
Why? Because they have a number 3 pick and they refuse to sign him over nothing.
Guys, we have to go to break. We can pick up the conversation later. Herm Edwards is going to join us. We'll revisit this subject. We can get back into it and pick up right where we left off. I'm sorry to have to cut you off. Speaking of pass rushers unhappy with their contracts, coming up, Michael Bennett hasn't been shy about wanting a new contract. One of his teammates has a problem with his complaints. We'll tell you who and explain why after this.